We got worm damage kind of all up and down that ear there. I don't think I really want to eat that, so that was no good. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having a wonderful day. It is Saturday, August 19th here in South Georgia, and it's finally time to see what we've got here with our raised bed corn, see if we got skunked by the worms, or see if we've actually got a few ears here that we can snack on. And then after we do that, we're going to take a look at our heirloom blue field corn over there, which is growing really fast. So about a month and a half to 2 months ago, we didn't have anything planted in these 3 tall raised beds in the back of this plot, and we figured, heck, we'll give some raised bed corn a try. So we planted a variety called Troubadour that we've never grown before. I was a little worried it was going to be really short, but it actually ended up being, I don't know, about 4.5, 5 foot tall, so not too short. The plants don't look great right now. They haven't been caring too much for this really intense heat we've been having. I think the fact that these are so high off the ground may have hurt them a little bit. But we've got some ears on here. We've also had a lot of worm pressure in here as well. So, will we get any corn out of here, or have the worms gotten it all? I guess we're about to see. Now here's an ear I pulled back a few days ago just to see where we were, see if we were getting close to harvest time. And you can see there the worms have worked on that one pretty hard. Now we did spray this corn with spinosad a few times, but probably not enough, and we probably didn't start soon enough. We should have started spraying it when it was only a few feet tall, when we noticed the worms were eating on the leaves pretty hard there. But it's been tough to really get a good spraying schedule on this corn because of the rain we've been getting in the afternoons. The weatherman, bless his heart, he hasn't been real accurate over the last month or so. All he can tell you is it's gonna be hot, and he's right about that. But we just get these random pop-up showers in the afternoon, so it's like, do you spray or is it gonna rain? You don't really know, and that resulted in me not getting this treated as often or as frequent as I should have. And before we start harvesting, I want to show you this right here, because I haven't seen any of this in a long time. If you've grown a lot of corn, you probably have seen this at some point, but this is corn smut. So this is a fungus, and it's something we used to see a lot as a kid, but I don't think I've ever seen it on this property here. I don't know why we don't see it near as much as we used to. This stuff, although it looks pretty gross, is actually considered a delicacy in some countries. They like to eat this stuff. They call it wheat lacoche. So if you've got any ideas on why we don't see corn smut near as much as we used to, definitely share those in the comments below. If I had to take a wild guess at it, I would say it has something to do with the fact that we're using so much drip irrigation now. We're not putting a lot of water on these corn leaves, and that's why we're not getting that fungal development. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just me guessing. If you got a better guess, let me know. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Ear number 1. Definitely got some worm damage at the top there, but most of it still looks pretty good. So we can work with that. We'll just take our knife and cut it off. That ear's not as big as it should have been, but still something to snack on there. And we might as well go and give it a taste test, make sure the rest of it is worth harvesting at all. That's some good corn. It's really sweet. Got a nice crunch to it. Nothing wrong with that. Hopefully we get a few more like this. Alright, so now ear number 2 here. More worm damage at the top. I don't think I'm going to find a single ear that doesn't have a little bit of worm damage. But as long as it's just at the top there, like I said, we can work with that. We can live with that. Cut that off there. And here we go. Nothing wrong with that. I'm really not crazy about getting every single silk off there. They don't really bother me a whole lot. Some folks they do. I just try to pull most of them off. That's good enough. Now on this third ear here, we have something that I was a little bit worried about. Probably more worried about this than the actual worms, and that was pollination. So anytime you're planting a small plot of corn like this, you worry whether or not all the ears are going to get pollinated well. Those first two that we shook look really good, had nice full ears. We can see on here we've got some really spotty kernel development there. I'll probably still save this ear here, but yeah, we missed out on some pollination on this one. All right, now here on this fourth one, we've got some really intense worm damage. We've got worm damage at the top, we've got worm damage in the middle, we've got a little worm damage down here. So this one will go to the chickens. I know better than to throw it on the ground out here because Stella come out here eating it. And while I don't mind her eating corn, I don't know that I want her eating all these worms and stuff. So I'm gonna put this one in my shuck bucket here, and we'll give some of these to the chickens later. And we're just continuing to work along here. Ear number 5, we got worm damage kind of all up and down that ear there. I don't think I really want to eat that, so that was no good. Now here we've got one I think we can save. Just a little damage at the top there. So we got a nice little snack left there. So I'm gonna keep working my way through all these. Maybe we'll get a bowl full, maybe we'll get half a bowl. We'll see in a minute. So this is what we got off that first bed. We didn't get skunked, but a pretty pitiful showing. I can eat that much corn right there by myself. So hopefully we get some more from these other beds. Save these 2 ears right here to show you some of the poor pollination we got. Most of the ears were pollinated good, but had a few like this that pretty much didn't get pollinated at all. So let's try out these next 2 beds, see what we get there, and maybe we'll get a little more. All right, so not the most encouraging Saturday morning harvest I've ever had. We got more corn in our trash can than we do in our bowl here, but we're thankful because a little bit of corn's better than no corn. We had some really nice looking ears on this third raised bed here. I mean, some really good looking ears, but they were just eaten up by worms at the top there. That's those bigger ones you can see there, nice and filled out. Just not gonna get to enjoy the entire ear. So can sweet corn be grown in just a few raised beds like this? Yes, I think it certainly can. I just think we picked a bad time of year to do it when the worm pressure was so high. We got pretty good pollination across the board. Had a few bad ears, but most of them were pollinated well. Now, all I did was come out here in the afternoons and shake the tassels and hope some of the pollen fell down on the silks. I've heard of folks capturing the pollen in a little bag and then sprinkling it on the silks, doing it a little more precise than what I did just by shaking the top there. But I think you can get pretty good pollination in a small little patch like this if you plant it thick enough and you come out here and shake it or hand pollinate it, however you want to do it. So we had good nutrients, got a good height on our corn, got pretty good pollination. We just lost the worm battle. Now, I'm usually not one to give mental health advice, but one thing you can do if you have kind of a rough morning in the garden like we just had harvesting that sweet corn is eat a watermelon. A lot of times eating a watermelon will lift your spirits and make you feel a whole lot better. So yesterday afternoon, Bubby and I harvested all these right here. Got most of our seedless and sureness seeded watermelons out of our plot, and so might as well snack on one, see if we can get in a little better mood. I think this is a Cracker Jack right here. Oh yeah, looky there, looky there. That'll make you feel better right there. Goodness gracious, that ain't perfect. I don't know what is. Man. That's just as sweet as it could be. You know, we did a bricks test on some of these a while back, and on this Cracker Jack here, I think we got close to 12.5. I swear I've had a few that were sweeter than those, probably closer to 13. I haven't tested any more. I probably should test this one, but I can tell you, it don't get much better than that. So last Saturday it was blistering hot out here, but I had a good bit of stuff I needed to do in the garden, and I actually ate 3 watermelons last Saturday. So I had a buddy come over helping me pick peppers. About 10 o'clock in the morning after we got done, we ate a yellow watermelon, worked in the garden a little more. About 1 o'clock I ate a red watermelon, and then worked in the garden a little more, and about 4:30, 5 o'clock I had another watermelon. So sometimes it takes more than one watermelon to make it through the day. Alright, so now that we've got our spirits lifted a little there, let's check on our giant blue field corn here. So this stuff is shot up pretty tall since we side dressed it with some of that coop grow and healed those stalks. We are battling worms in here as well. I felt like I had stopped the bleeding in here a little bit, but it appears I need to get back on a pretty regular spraying schedule. Looks like we're getting some more damage there on those top leaves. I thought we had outgrown the worms there for a minute, but it looks like they have came back. And we still are battling a little bit of pigweed in here, but it's not near as bad as it was. I've almost got it under control. Now, one thing you'll notice looking at this corn here is that the stalk height is not very consistent. And that's one thing I've seen in the past when growing other varieties of heirloom field corn. You just don't get the consistency that you would, say, with a hybrid sweet corn or something like that. But hopefully it all kind of evens out eventually. And I don't think this corn is going to get near as tall as it's supposed to get. That has a lot to do with the heat units, which we've talked about on our previous video. This stalk here, we can already see some tassels inside those leaves there. So that particular stalk there is probably only going to get a couple feet taller. Some of those in the middle there may end up getting closer to 8 foot tall. We'll just have to see. So I think worms and heirloom vigor or lack of vigor with the heirlooms are going to be our 2 biggest struggles with this giant blue corn here. I think we're going to be okay nutrient wise. The leaves look nice and green right now, even though we haven't fed it a high nitrogen fertilizer and probably won't. Still looks pretty nice and healthy there. One thing we do know about these no-till plots is once plants get going in them and once the roots get deep enough to kind of reach that nice reservoir of nutrients, they usually pop and take off, and that's what we're seeing here. So I'm sure we'll have some worm damage here, but hopefully it's just on the tip of the ears. One thing about growing field corn, since you're leaving it out there to dry, as the kernels dry and harden, the worms won't mess with it as much. So yeah, they will damage a little bit while it's in the milking stage, but as it dries, those kernels are too hard for them to really chew on. We had a couple people asking questions earlier this week about their corn and worm damage. They were seeing a lot of worm damage when the corn was only a few foot tall. They want to know if they should just scrap it or try to save it, and what I told them was just try to spray BT, spinosad, whatever you want to use. Try to spray that once a week and just kind of knock it back a little bit. That's really all you can do. I wouldn't scrap it just because I had a little bit of worm damage earlier, but just try to get on a weekly schedule there, and that should help you minimize the damage. Now, I know our sweet corn earlier wasn't a good example of that, but I wasn't spraying it weekly like I should have. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Be sure to check out our affiliate links and coupon codes in the description below, and also go check out our website, lazydogfarm.com. And if you want to see a nice sweet corn harvest with hardly any worms in it, check out this video right here when we harvested our Eden sweet corn from this plot behind me earlier this year and got a really nice harvest and put a bunch of bags in the freezer. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.